Hey everybody. I made a little mini journal and it's so cute and I think I'm going to make a lot more of them, and this is basically what they look like. So they are like 3 by 3. Now 3 1/4, the cover is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Okay. And then the pages are just a little smaller. I think they're 3 by 3. The pages are made from 1 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, and it needs to be paper, the actual thin paper. If you want to use a cardstock, you might have a little trouble with folding because cardstock is much thicker. Okay, so, and this is all stays in one piece, and this is very, very cool, and I will link below the video that inspired me to make this. Okay, so all the little pages, you got pockets in there. I made this little envelope to put in the center to hide my stitches, because I'm going to use the little, like a pamphlet stitch to attach that, but that's going to hide that, and I'll show you how to do that. But basically all the other pages, they are just one single paper, and they're all together. The front and back of this paper will hide the inside of the cover. You can see here they'll be attached there. Oops. So there's no need to actually cover that unless you really want to. Okay, so that's the cutest. That's a cute little journal. Here's another one that I did. Oops. This one's almost the same way. And they're just adorable. This one I have little tabs on the pages, and there's a little tag in there, decorated tag in there that I put in a little pocket. But they are just adorable. They fit in your hand. You can stick them in your purse or in your pocket, and they're so cute. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, and I want to show you how to make one of these. And I think you're going to like. They're fun. They're just so cute, and they're just so fun. They could be sent in Happy Mail. They don't take very long to make. And what more can I say about it? They're adorable. All right. So, first off, like I said, you need a 12 by 12 scrapbook paper or whatever paper. And if you want, you could put several papers together and then make a 12 by 12 to do this. You will also need some fabric tape, or you could use a strip of fabric, regular fabric, to glue on, because this is for the spine to make it a lot stronger than it would be just with paper covering the spine. Okay, and so I've chosen this for my pages. Some parts will be blank, some parts will have the pattern on it, and you can choose to have the pattern more visible or less visible. I like mine to be more visible because it gives a background for whatever decorations that you're going to be using. And so there's my paper for my pages. And I'm sorry, my voice is messed up. My allergies are killing me right now. Anyway, so I know I sound funny, but anyway, this is one of my printables, and I decided that I want to use this for the cover because this has beautiful visual texture. I love both sides, but I think I'm going to have this as the outside, as the cover. Okay, and then you will need some kind of thin cardstock, or a thick cardstock, or a thin packaging. I am using some cereal box packaging, and that'll work just perfect for me. First, what I want to do is I want to make my cover pieces. I will need two pieces that are the 3 by 3, or 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So I'll measure that out and get that cut. Maybe. My brain went blank. Okay, so let's measure that out. Let's get a straight edge here. Just using my X-Acto knife and a ruler just to get a nice straight edge. Something to start off with there. All right. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So of course it will need to be, I know this edge is not completely straight, so I think I'm going to make another straight edge on this side, which with the cereal box or your packaging, it should be pretty straight. But if you're, cutting with a ruler, it ought to be straight if you're cutting with a ruler. Sometimes mine don't turn out that way. I'm going to go ahead and cut this all the way because I can use that for something else. Oops, got a little off there, but that's okay. All right, so let's square this up. As we know, we have a somewhat square piece here. Not quite. It's not perfect. So we need, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need it here. Oh, 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So that would need to be 3 1/2. I'm thinking my pages, but yeah. Your cover needs to be 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So if you're cutting one piece to make 2 pieces, you need to double it. So 3 1/2. Okay. So then we have our square. And that needs to be 3 1/4. So 1, 2, whoops, 1, 2, 3. And 1/4 is right there. Try not to move my ruler. All right, so we have 3 1/4 by, 6 1/2. So we need another piece that's 3 1/4, or I mean, we need both pieces to be 3 1/4. So I'm going to cut that. 1, 2, 3. There's my 1/4. Try to get that even. It does not have to be absolutely spot on perfect, but get it as close as you can. All right, so we have our 2 pieces. Those are pretty good. 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Put that away. Throw that over there with everything else. Now, you will notice that your packaging will more than likely have one side that is shiny. So what I do is I take my sanding disc thing and I just want to rough up that glossy surface because glue does not like to stick to that very well. So especially around the edges, let's just get that more down to a matte finish. Okay, the other side's fine because it's all just paper. It don't have to be nothing special here. We're just making it so the glue will stick to it better. A little easier. Get that dust all off of our work surface. Alright, so we have our cover pieces. Now, this is the side that I want to use for my cover. So I'm going to turn that over. And we're going to be gluing these on. So you want to leave a little bit, a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch, something in between there, to fold over the edges, okay? And then for the in between, you want to leave that together. You want to leave this connected. You don't want to cut down here because we want this to be just to give it a little more stability. So we want to make those so that they are going to be able, so that we're going to be able to fold this edge over the edges of the cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this off. This doesn't have to be straight because you're going to be folding it over. So I'm just going to cut this off just like that. Now We're going to be gluing these down. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. You could use your art glitter glue or Riptile glue, whatever white glue or whatever glue you want. You could use double-sided tape. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room to get everything straightened out. And like I said, you don't need a whole lot of room, just maybe, what is that, just maybe 1/4 of an inch between, something like that. Okay, so, whoops, I'm going to glue my first one on. And you want it to have really good coverage, especially at the edges. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm sorry if I'm out of frame there. You don't need like a ton of glue on it, but you do need enough to make sure that it's going to hold there. You don't want it to come up, bubble and all that stuff. It just wouldn't be very, very nice. So we're just giving pretty decent coverage. And I'm going to lay this down kind of towards the center and try to get it somewhat straight. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, so get the other one glued up here. Alright, make sure you get it up to the edges. We're going to use the bone folder to kind of burnish these all down a little bit. I'm going to use my ruler so that I can get these exactly straight, because you want your book to open and close right. So let's go about right there. Don't make your little space bigger than what your tape is, because you want that tape to be able to hold on to both sides. Alright, now that's a little bit wide, so let's move that in just a little. Okay, that looks pretty good. Those are pretty straight with each other. Make sure you don't move them. Whoops, like I just did. See how it's crooked now? Okay, let's get that straightened back out. Alright, so I'm going to turn this over and then I'm going to burnish it down. Try to get it burnished pretty good. Any of that glue, some of that glue might smush out, and that is perfectly fine. That means that we have a nice thin layer under there and it's all got good adhesion. Get that off of my mat. Okay, so we have those. Let's make sure that's gonna give us enough. That should give us enough room there for our pages inside and not be gator mouth. Okay, now we want to fold over these edges. Oh, forgot. First off, you want to miter these corners, and you just want to do just like that, just a little triangle, and you want to leave just a tiny, like a 1/16 of an inch between your corner and the corner of your cover paper. So you come in and then just swoop it out. It doesn't have to be straight. It could be rounded a little bit. It does not matter. It could be a perfect angle, if however you want to do it. As long as you're mitering those corners to get some of the bulk of the extra paper out of there. All right. So now I'm going to start with the top and the bottom, and I definitely want to get glue right up in this edge here, and then at the edge of the paper, and just fill in a little bit at that for the whole tab. So pick that up. Easiest way for me, since we have them nice and straight, is just to fold that over on itself. Press that down. You have a nice smooth edge. Make sure you burnish it between here, because you want that to be as much contact as possible. Okay, and then kind of work that a little bit. All right, so let's do the other one. Right up along the edge of that cardboard or cardstock. And fill in the rest of the tab. And then again, we're just going to fold that over. That makes such a nice, clean, folded edge. It looks great. Okay. And our two ends, same way. Fold it on itself, press it down. Look at that. I mean, look at those corners. Beautiful, beautiful corners. Okay. And again, look at that. It's just so pretty. All right, so we got our cover done. That's it. Look how easy that was. Just a beautiful little cover. That one's got the butterfly on it. And it's non-directional. If you use a directional paper, you need to make sure when you're gluing your cover on, your cover paper, that you have it in whatever direction you want. This one is just all kinds of everywhere, so it doesn't really matter. Let's work that a little bit just to make sure it's, you know, going to be loose enough. Okay. Now I want to take and I want to put some fabric tape, or you can use your strip of fabric cut right, you know, to the height of this, and I probably could use a little bit wider of a tape. Let me see what I got. I have these and I have one more, but I'm not sure where it's at. I really like this one because it's thin. The other one that I have, if I can find it, there it is. This is the Tim Holtz one here, and it's very thick. Let's see if you can see the difference here. Let me open that up, maybe. There we go. Okay, see, I know that has a backing on it, but the fabric on the Tim Holtz one is nice. It's very, very thick. And this one here from 49 and Market is very thin. And so I really like that one because it doesn't add a whole ton of bulk to the project. And I don't know, I really just like this. Okay, so I'm just going to use this one. And let's see. I'm not going to adhere it down just yet. Actually, I think on the inside I want to use a bigger one. So let's use this one. And we don't need it to be the full length of the little booklet. Just want it to cover, to keep that stabilized. We're going to put a little glue on here just to give it a little more adherence. And then just going to center that over the middle opening, or between the two covers. And that takes a little bit to dry and set, so it'll still be really floppy at first. But you'll see after it dries completely, it's perfect. So let's burnish against those cardstock pieces, just to make sure it gets in there and stays where it needs to stay. All right, so we have that. There's our cover. I think I want to add later on here, I'm going to add this little thin one to the outside. So I could do that now. I could probably make that go over so that it looks more finished by wrapping it around the inside. Let's see if we can make sure that's kind of centered here. There and there. Press that down. Excuse me. You hear my voice is kind of weird. That one's not quite straight. There we go. That's better. All right. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here. Let's do it on this. Just a very thin layer. Just enough to make sure it's stuck there. Same on the bottom. Just a tiny bit. Because I just don't trust the adhesive on the fabric tapes very much. I do, but I don't. Okay, look at that. Isn't that adorable? Got your little spine. And just the tape just enough to separate it from the rest. Visually, you know what I mean. So that's done. There's your cover. It's adorable. It's perfect. Excuse me. All right, now this is the more involved part. Okay, so this is our paper for our pages. It's going to make all of our pages. It's going to make 16 squares when we get done folding it. Okay, so I want to start out. I don't really care about this, the words on here, because you really don't see them that much. So I don't care about the direction, but try to find something that is non-directional. So it don't matter on this to me, whichever way it goes. So anyway, we're going to fold this directly in half. Try to get it as precise as you can, because that makes the pages and the folds behave much better if you can get it just right. And you want good hard creases, so definitely use your bone folder. Whenever you get your fold where you want it, definitely use your bone folder. See, I'm a little off there. It'll be okay, but I wish it was a little better. So we got it in half. Okay, so then we're going to take these and do them exactly the same in half again. Just try to get it as precise as possible. Okay, we got that one, so we're going to do this one same way. You can lay that down to kind of see your area just a little better, and I'm off just a tiny bit, so we don't want that under there, so we're going to have to finagle that till it's not over itself. Oops. Make sure your folds are good. Okay, so then you can see we have those 3 folds. Now we're just going to do it opposite and do the same thing. Try to line that up just right again, and then make a soft fold, and then use your bone folder to get it nice and sharp, nice and clean. Okay, and then again. And you see, that's what I'm saying. Even with the paper, it's fidgety. So with cardstock, it would be a lot harder to keep it, to fold it just right. Not hard, but it's temperamental. It'd be a lot more temperamental. And then again, let's get that right up against that much as we can without going over or under. All right. Now, let's see. Can you see better on this side? Or you can see we have 16 squares, 4 by 4. I think in oh goodness, I can't remember her name, but the video that I'm gonna link to, lovely lady, I think in hers she did a 3 by 4. I'm using 4 by 4. It doesn't matter whichever you decide to do. I just wanted a few more pages, and I wanted to utilize the entire 12 by 12 piece of paper. So now you can see all the folds, which is great. So we're going to take and we're going to cut. I'm going to fold this up so I'm right on the fold line, and we're just going to cut up to, we're going to leave that right there, and we're just going to cut the rest down here, down that line, so that separates. Okay, we're going to flip this around. You can see our cut there. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go the opposite way. It kind of reminds you of like a little maze in a way. Okay, I'm going to cut that one down. You can see where I'm going. It's kind of like a, yeah. Okay, and then this one, this is the last one. Make sure we get that right on. And then cut that one down. Okay. That's all there is to that. Now you have to decide, you know, like I said, do you want the plain side to be prominent or the pattern side? And I want the pattern side to be prominent, and I can't remember I can't remember now which way to fold it. Goodness. I think if I do it this way, Yeah, I think this is correct. So if you want your... I'm hoping this is correct. So this will be glued down to your cover right here, okay? So, and then you just kind of fold it like an accordion. You see? You fold it like that. This comes up. You want to keep everything you're folding onto the top. Fold that over. You see, I'm not moving my left hand at all. All I'm doing is folding these. And just fold them down so that that all stays just like that. Okay, look. There's our pages. There's our back cover, inside cover. There is our front inside cover. Now, I did this backwards because I wanted the pattern papers to be on the to be the visible part, and I did it backwards. So I'm going to unfold it, get it back into a sheet of paper. I know this is confusing because it confuses me every single time I do it. Okay, now how did I start that? Yeah. All right, so we want... I think, do I want to do it? How did I just do it, guys? Okay, I think that's how I did it. So I want to do it this way this time. And try that. So that would be our cover. This, yeah, there we go. That'd be our first page. And then, yes, now I'm doing it correctly. And again, we're just folding it, keeping that left hand the way, you know, completely straight up. It just all folds together. And there we go. Okay, now I got it. Now we got it. So, this is our inside cover. It'll be glued down. And here is our pages. And then there's our back cover. It's just so simple. It's so easy. Okay, now I prefer to keep my pages just like this in order to decorate them, because I don't want to unfold it and then try to make sure that I know which side of what page is up and down and sideways and whatever. I would rather keep it just like this. So you go through. So this is going to be glued down, okay? So that's your inside cover. So this is your first page. Now, you can decide if you want to just have it as a plain page, and you can see it's open on top and bottom, okay? So you can decide if you just want to keep that as one single page the way it is, or do you want to glue the bottom and then have a top pocket, or, you know, that's really your choices, is either make it into a pocket or just keep it as a single page. I want to make mine into a pocket from the top loading pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I don't forget that, and I'm going to put a thumb notch, okay? And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue that bottom. Or not. Goodness. Okay, I'll just use my Fabri-Tac because I know it works. So just a little tiny bit of glue at the very bottom. And glue that down. You don't have to glue the inside together because it's not going to go anywhere. So there's our first page. Now, if you could, of course, before you glue any of these together, you may want to go around and ink everything that you want inked, and I should do that, I guess. But it's not too hard to do afterwards either. So, and then, you know, like your inside part, your under the thumb notch, I've got the tea-dye Distress Oxide on there, and I want to tone that little notch part down just a little bit so it's not so in-your-face bright. there's our first page. Got it inked up. It's beautiful. Go ahead and ink the inside cover page. Okay, so we got that. There's our inside cover page. There's our first page, which we made into a pocket also. And we glued the bottom right here, just along the bottom, because that's already together with the other paper. We flip that over. You'll have a plain page here. Or you can also put another notch in. You could have notched it both at the same time. I want to leave that as it is so that there's a pocket on that other side. I'm going to get rid of this for now. I'm going to go ahead and ink my edges of this next page. And see that I want to leave it, I don't want to put it inside the cover right now because I want to leave it so I can unfold it if I want to add something in there that needs to go behind the paper. Now, so like I said, this is our first page and it's a pocket on this side. It's going to be plain on this side. This is the next page. Now, I have a choice. I can either make it into a pocket at the top or a pocket at the side because the bottom's closed. Or I can completely glue it together. I think we'll go for a pocket on the side on this one. So you want to do this before you glue anything together. That way, it's much easier to get the punches in there and all of that, and do your inking under your thumb tabs and whatever. So let's do that. Okay, so we have that. Now that's going to be a side pocket. So I want to just glue this little top edge. Just a thin line of glue. And there we go. There's our second page, which is also a pocket, but it's a side pocket. Okay, so we flip that over. And where is my... There it is. Get my inker, or my ink, get that colored in, covered, whatever, inked. I can't think right now. My voice is terrible, I'm sorry. Okay, and then I want that crease done. Just gives a little more depth. Okay, so there's our page. Now, you just go through, and each one is a little different. I mean, they're all the same, but they're all... some are opposite. So this one here, again, this one has a top and bottom opening for this page. So you could either make it into a full pocket or you can glue it together as one single page. I am not sure what I want to do with that. Then the next one, this one has an opening at the bottom, so we could glue at the bottom and have a side pocket or side tuck or whatever. Okay. Now, so when we get to the center, which I believe I'm at, this is where it's going to be pamphlet stitched into our cover. All right. I made, where'd it go? Is that it? No, that's not it. Where's my little envelope? Oh my goodness. Of course I have to. Oh, I put it inside the other one. Okay. Now, this, I made this little bitty envelope and I left it open. Okay, so I definitely want to ink around that. Ink everything that you want inked. And you know how to ink stuff. I know you do. But I just hadn't done it yet. Okay, we're getting there. Doesn't take too long. One more. Okay, so we have our envelope done. Now this one is, I think, it's 3 by about 2 1/8. And let me get this inside here done. I want to also do I want to put the tea dye so it's not blinding at the opening. And you only need to do that top flap and a little bit of the inside where you're going to see, because this will all be glued together like that. So you don't have to worry about the whole inside unless you want to. Okay, now this we're going to be putting in the center right here. So you want to open that part up. Okay, and I didn't get everything out that I need, but it's not too far away. I'm going to use my needle threader, my awl. That's kind of a small one. I don't know where my bigger one is at. There he is. I like that big old one. It's probably from the 60s or something. And I'm going to use a gray wax thread. Or I could punch holes in it with a hole punch, but I think I'll just use this. Actually, I want to use a different string. If I can find it. Okay, so I have this nice thin baker's twine in the blue, and I chose the blue because it kind of goes with the envelope. So that's, you can use whatever you want. You could use the wax thread. You could use, just whatever. Oh, and if you want to make, I know this video's all over, I'm sorry. If you want to make the string so that it wraps around and then you just tuck a little charm in like that, you got to keep that in mind for your length of your string. So it needs to be enough to go through there, be tied here. I only have 2 holes in this one because that's plenty for this little bitty guy. And then be long enough to wrap around it at least once and then tuck your charm under. So let's kind of go with that. So we'd have about maybe one end. There's a tie. That's enough to go through there. And then enough for that part. So there we go. We got that. All right, put that away. So we have our string. And we're definitely going to need that little guy there. Let me put some caps back on here so these don't completely dry out. Okay, got all that. Now, this is important. So you definitely want to make sure that your little envelope is centered where you want it to be. And in what area you want it to be. Because it does not have to be in the center. But for if you're doing the pamphlet stitch, you kind of want it in the center of the pages. I think I have them evened out. So go ahead and mark your, where you're going to put your string through. That way you know that it's this side of the envelope in case you don't want to ink that part. So we're going to punch these. Oops, don't let your papers unfold. So we're going to put that right in the center. Make sure it's pretty even. Get that out of the way. We're going to put a hole right there. And a hole right there. Just right on that little bend. Okay? We need to, I don't know which side I like better. I guess I like that one. I'm going to have to make that in the same place in our binding, or in our, you know what I'm talking about. I think I'm going to go ahead and just mark it. If I can get around to where I can see it. So we know our hole is like right here, and the other one's right there. Okay, so let's punch our hole through here. And through here. It's kind of crooked. Make sure I've got Maybe I didn't have that centered. Yeah, I didn't have my paper centered. See, that's what I'm saying. You gotta pay attention, Laura. Okay, we're gonna do this again. So we want one here and one here. That's where we want our holes. And I'm gonna mark them so I know that it's these. Okay. So then you open back up to your center part, your envelope. You want to put this through. Oops, done forgot which. Is it the top? Yeah, I think it's the top one here. Sorry if my head gets in the way. Okay, so we mark that. Is that, put that through here. Oh my goodness, I'm making this look so bad. I think it covered up my... There we go. We're getting it. Goodness. Okay, we got that one. Make sure that's centered right. Yeah, I think that is. Okay. So we want to take one end and pull that through to the outside of the cover. Okay. And then we need to get this through the other, and I think that is supposed to be the top hole. Get that through there. There we go. And then through our envelope. Okay. And then we want to pull our other end through, because we're pulling this through so that we can tie it on the outside of the cover. Okay, let's pull this tight. Oops. Just to make sure we have our papers good and centered in here. Pretty good anyway. So this will be closed and glued. And then all of our pages. This front cover, remember, so that looks loose, I know. But remember, we're going to glue this down. So that's not going to go anywhere. So we have our little... You can even leave that open so you can write inside of it or something. But we have our hidden string inside there that holds it together. Our little envelope to put something in. And then we have all of our pages back here. And then you have your back cover page. So, and if you were doing your stitching with the knot on the inside so that nothing is on the outside, you would pull it through this way and you would tie your knot in here and it would be hidden. So nobody would be able to see that. So, yeah. Okay, so when you go to glue your cover, your front cover and your back cover, you want to pull all your pages up together and get them centered just where you want them. That way, when you open it up, it lays flat, okay? So we know that that needs to be right there. So we're going to lay that down. We're going to hold this part. That way, when we glue this, this doesn't move. So pull that up. Oh, let me go ahead and ink these edges on this first, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to do that. Yeah, see, you got to make sure you're paying attention, as I sure don't. I'm glad I caught it, though. Get that crease. I'm sorry if I confused any of you. I probably confused all of you, and I apologize. I confused myself. Alright, so we're going to do that again. Alright, front cover. Try to get this centered. Tighten that up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and tie that. Just temporarily. Just so I can hold this together a little bit easier. I'm just going to tie it in a bow so that I can undo it. Alright. Got that. Okay, so that's all centered in there. I mean, with the string, that's attached where it needs to be. All right, so now back to gluing our covers, our inside cover pages. So let's pull those up together. We know that it's centered because it's already tied, and that's where it'll be. So we'll have that where that is right there, and then we'll pull that part up. We're going to go ahead and glue this down. And I'm putting the glue on the page because if I were to put it on the back cover itself, I may go outside of it, and I don't want to do that. It's just an extra headache. Okay, so then we know that's right. So let's get that pretty straight if we can. And you notice I did not glue all the way up into here. It's just leave a little space. Okay. That way when you open it, it has plenty of room to do whatever it needs to do there. Okay, so we got that one. Now we're going to do the front one the same way. I already inked this one, so that's good to go, really. Add a little more. Okay. I'll turn that around so it's a little easier. And we already know that that's where that's going to sit. So hold our pages down. Make sure we get it somewhat straight. Go ahead and glue this down. These are just so cute, so fun to make. All right. We got that cover page glued down. Just run over that, burnish that down a little bit. And you notice that, it's not glued up in here by the crease, just on the paper. Okay, and I leave. I have to mess with my pages a little bit. Got my cover a little crooked. All right, there you go. Look at that. It's all done. All you got to do now is decorate it, and then we have our little hidden stitching in there. You can't tell it was in there, so you can. Like I said, you can leave this as an opening, to open that up and write inside of it. Or you can glue it make it into an envelope and then have something hidden in there, a little surprise in there. Got all of our little pages. It's thin, it's cute, look at that. You can't get any better than that. It's adorable. So there you go. Now all you got to do is decorate it. I think I laid out a few little pieces here. Let me go ahead and put the clip on here so it stays closed. So I was kind of thinking, these are little Tim Holtz pieces. And I was kind of thinking, make this into a little pocket. And I put a little eyelet in that tag so that can go there. And then I have a little fake stamp and a little bouquet of flowers. And a tiny little envelope, postal envelope thing, and just and a number. And just put them wherever you want. Decorate however you want. But just simple like that. Put a little string through your tag, and you're good to go. But that's a perfect little cover. It's adorable. Anybody would love to have that. It's just so cute. Just not much more I can say. I hope you make a bunch of these. I was going to make one for each month and then just write, most important things that happened, whatever, in that week or that day or whatever, and decorate the pages all individual, make all the tags to stick in whatever pocket, side pockets or top pockets. I'm going to make some belly bands and different, just whatever kind of little, just like a regular junk journal. It's just miniature size. But anyway, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with me today. I enjoyed this so much, and I hope you really love these. I hope you make a whole bunch of them. Thank you so much. I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.